Israel is getting paid tribute to is because the world sees them as the fourth tribe having the scepter of rule. And you think that we not going by biblical? You think the world ain't doing that? So anyway, it also says that pictures pictures completeness with completeness much like seven. So the number four pictures completeness much like the number seven. There's four matriarchs. There's four corners to the earth. There's four horns on the altar. Four tzitzits, tassels on my fringes. Four living creatures. Four horsemen. Four rivers of Eden. Four winds. Four gospels, etc. But let's just go here, right? Let's really get into it. So four is indicative of authority. The fourth branch on the monarch is the center. Main shaft is the source for the other six branches. Yahweh stands in the midst of the menorah. I said monarch, I'm sorry. It's the fourth branch of the menorah. Excuse me. So the number four is the fourth branch of the menorah.
The center of it.
The center of it. Um, on the fourth day of creation, Yahweh declared his government on the earth, keep and all who dwell in it by creating the sun, moon, and stars. So he said, Hawa, the Most High, Ahaya, Ashur, Ahaya, Yod He, Wahe, on the fourth day of creation, created his government. So he created the moon, the sun, and the stars. Whoa. The government wasn't
bodies.
people, though.
Celestial bodies.
Let's wrap a taste because, like I said, everything is deeper. He's saying his government is the sun, the moon, and the stars.
They keep everything in order, in orbit.
They keep everything in order. Yeah, come on. So these celestial bodies faithfully keep and proclaim his calendar, his months, his weeks, his holy days of the world. Only the creator of the universe has the ability to define and regulate a man's clock and calendar. Our lifetime is limited and decreed by the king of all creations. Every second of our lives is in the palm of his hands, whether we recognize his authority or not. Hallelujah. Man. Thus, time and authority is intrinsically linked with day 4. The fourth piece of furniture is covered place of the tabernacle, temple, or house. It is the Ark of the Covenant. We're talking about the number 4. All right? What it represents. The fourth piece of furniture in the covered place of the tabernacle, temple, house, you. Judah is the fourth. Judah, the Ark of the Covenant. We ought to be the example. Yahudah, the Yahudim. As Yahudah, you take that mantle, you take that claim as we do, then you have to be the example. They ain't telling you to be king. That's not what it's saying here. The covenant, the most high, the most holy place could only be entered once in a year. One must know the Creator's calendar given on 4 days in order to live and not die in the sacred space. The mercy seat is a type of throne, another picture of authority and government. 4 living creatures surrounded the throne of Elohim, always declaring, holy, holy, holy. Always declaring, holy is the Lord. Holy is the Most High, the Almighty, who was and who is to come. Revelations, right? 4 and 7 have many common factors. They depict holy places in both space and time. For more um, um, fulfillness and completeness are characteristics of Abba's house. As the door dalit, the dalit, four, that's the number four in Hebrew is pronounced the dalit, Delet. Four shows one, the way into the throne room of the Adonai. Yahweh is the door for the sheep. That's in John chapter 10, verse 7 through 9. It is impossible to get this close and personal with Yahweh by entering another door or way. Understand what that says? Like they can get to him, but you can't get that close to him. This is the only door that gets next to him. Entering any door. The fourth feast is Shabbat, which commemorates both the giving of the Holy Torah, the covenant, and the Holy Spirit seal. Pentecost isn't complete without both. Moreover, the Shabbat is the oath or sign between Yahweh and his people for all generations as a keeping as is keeping the feast of unleavened bread, which we're about to come upon. That's what the number 4 means. So when they're smacking the blood 4 times across the entrance of the tent, it is for authority and saying that they have authority to do so, to take away these sins in the Most High. All right, my brother, ready for this chapter 4? And that's why we're going to chapter 4. See, everything's in sync. You know what I'm saying? Yes. Oh, praise to the Most High in the Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom is the 4th commandment. We're in the midst of number 4 right now. And they say it's so closely connected because Shabbat is the 7th day. It's the 4th commandment. That's why they're so tightly connected.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the Most High, Leviticus chapter 4. The Most High spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the Israelite people thus: When a person unwittingly incurs guilt in regard to any of the Most High's commandments about things not to be done and does one of them, if it is the anointed priest who has incurred guilt, so that blame falls upon the people, he shall offer for the sin of which he is guilty a bull of the herd without blemish as a sin offering to the Most High. He shall bring the bull to the entrance of the tent of meeting before the Most High, and lay his hand upon the head of the bull. The bull shall be slaughtered before the Most High, and the anointed priest shall take some of the bull's blood and bring it into the tent of meeting. The priest shall dip his finger in the blood and sprinkle of the blood 7 times
7.
before the Most High in front of the curtain of the shrine. The priest shall put some of the blood on the horns of the altar of aromatic incense, which is in the tent of meeting before the Most High, and all the rest of the bull's blood he shall pour out at the base of the altar of burnt offering.
And the burnt offering is frankincense and myrrh. Remember, in order to make it, there are 5 oils, and we'll touch upon that later, and the number 5 as well. Go on, my brother.
Which is at the entrance of the tent of meeting. He shall remove all the fat from the bull of sin offering, the fat that covers the entrails, and all the fat that is about the entrails, the 2 kidneys and the fat that is on them, that is at the loins, and the protuberance on the liver, which he shall remove with the kidneys, just as it is removed from the ox of the sacrifice of well-being. The priest shall turn them into smoke on the altar of burnt offering. But the hide of the bull and all its flesh, as well as its head and legs, its entrails and its dung, all the rest of the bull, he shall carry to a clean place outside the camp, to the ash heap, and burn it up in a wood fire. He shall be burned on the ash heap.
Notice as we're reading, everything that the Most High is taking away or is using to be burned are things that are not good for us, that tears down our body, tears down our mind. So the Most High is saying, as you're doing these offerings, I want nothing but the purity in you so that your mind is working properly, that you don't have this fat in your body that's blocking your signal. So you're not eating this blood that's breaking down your health. So you're not killing yourself. Go on, man.
If it is the whole community of Israel that has erred, and the matter escapes the notice of the congregation, so that they do any of the things which by the Most High's commandments ought not be done, and they realize their guilt, when the sin through which they incurred guilt becomes known, the congregation shall offer a bull of the herd as a sin offering, and bring it before the tent of meeting. The elders of the community shall lay their hands upon the head of the bull before the Most High, and the bull shall be slaughtered before the Most High. The anointed priest shall bring some of the blood of the bull into the tent of meeting, and the priest shall dip his finger in the blood and sprinkle of it 7 times before the Most High, in front of the curtain. Some of the blood he shall put on the horns of the altar which is before the Lord in the tent of meeting, and all the rest of the blood he shall pour out at the base of the altar of burnt offering, which is at the entrance of the tent of meeting. He shall remove all its fat from it, and turn it into smoke on the altar. He shall do with this bull just as is done with the priest's bull of sin offering. He shall do the same with it. Thus the priest shall make expiation for them, and they shall be forgiven. He shall carry the bull outside the camp and burn it as he burned the first bull. It is the sin offering of the congregation.
Wow. Look at all that has to be done. You don't think that's a deterrent? You don't think that the Most High is trying to put a deterrent to it? Your sin, as we always say, everything that happens in the dark comes to light. So you have to bring your sin to the congregation. The congregation has to offer up a sacrifice. The priest got to do double work because they sins, they can't offer anything up if they're not clean. So the priest had to burn and sacrifice his own for his own cleansing. Then he went and did all of this with everybody else. Well, the priest that's a major deterrent.
Yeah.
That's a major deterrent. All that you have to do with the blood, all of the carefulness, every aspect. Because if you don't, then you're not fulfilling it in order and you're not cleansed. After you went through all of this, you're going to tell everybody, look, I know everybody came together, but I spilled the blood. I did this. I did that.
I drank.
We got to do. Yeah, I drank the blood.
I was thirsty back there, man. All that fire, man. You get thirsty.
You know what I'm saying? So let's look at this number 7. It came up twice, right? So we're in chapter 4, and again the number 7 is coming up. So Rose asked earlier, we're reading when it comes to that online, we're going from graceintorah.net. So that's graceintorah.net is where we're getting the information about the Hebraic numbers. But you can do a search and just say meaning of Hebraic numbers. So 7, why is it now? Because before, the sins that we did, when it wasn't for the congregation and it was the first 2 chapters, we did it 4 times. Now we're introducing 7. So 7 means Shiva is how it is pronounced. Shiva is how it's pronounced in Hebrew. Wholeness, completeness, being ripe, rest, order, stability, and holiness. Also the number of the temple, Adonai's house. We rest in the finished work of the Messiah. There are 7 days of creation, 7 days for temple dedication, 7 spirits of the Most High, 7 feasts of the Most High, 7 churches in Revelation, 7 stars in Yahweh hand, 7 golden lampstands, 7 seals, 7 trumpets we're going to be hearing, 7 bowls, 7 thunders speak in Revelation, seven speak in Revelation, 7 eyes of the Most High, 7 horns and eyes of the Lamb, 7 abominations, that's wicked lamb spirits you find in Proverbs, which we're going to go to later, chapter 6, 16, verses 16 to 19. The priest of Midian, Moses' father-in-law, had 7 daughters. Yahweh had the people along with 7 priests march around Jericho. Joshua. Yeah, thank you. Joshua around Jericho before the ark for 7 days. On the seventh day, 7 priests blowing 7 ch4 along with the people circled the city 7 times. On the seventh circuit, the shofar sounded along and the people shouted and the walls fell. I'm just going to go back up to the priests, the 7 priests in Jericho. We just had this conversation today, so I wanted to bring it in. As we were at New Orleans Entrepreneur Week, we were blessed. The Most High brought us an audience to view this. So, but in that conversation, we talked about how our Indians here and the second lines, how we could prove that it was part of the Yahudim, part of the Most High's people. He said, when you look at any hieroglyphs or any old writings on the walls, pictographs anywhere, the only time you see a procession is with the Ark of the Covenant and the banners being held. Where else do you see that but in New Orleans? We have a banner for our second line. We have the Indians have their second line. They're the first. They're the banner with the band behind them.
You see them in Haiti, and they got the trumpets.
Haiti and the trumpets.
Exact trumpets from the pictures.
Is New Orleans not known for trumpets? When you're looking for yourself, my Nola people, when you're looking for yourself, we right here. The Yahudim is who we are. Mm-hmm. It's written all over. You just gotta ask the Ruach HaKodesh for the wisdom to find it, baby. Yes. When you seek his face. So we are doing this procession in our city every year. We do second line procession. We got a season for it here. Unfortunately, Bacchus, the drunken gods, have gotten into our second lines, and now it appears to be something that we can hardly recognize. But as we are awakening and we're reading and we're showing ourselves approved, we putting the pieces together. We sewing the suit. Huh, my brother? What did you say? We sewing the suit, baby. To all my chiefs out there, we may not dress like y'all, but we sewing a suit for y'all, baby. We sewing a suit for you.
Yeah.
7 priests do a procession with the people around Jericho. They blow the horn 7 times. Walls come tumbling down. On the 7th circuit, I read that already. Samson had 7 locks of hair in which were the source of his strength, the Ruach HaKodesh. Elijah sent his servant to look for the indication of rain 7 times. Elijah had Naaman washed in the holy Jordan 7 times to be cured of his leprosy. Elijah laid upon a dead boy. He sneezed 7 times and rose. King King Joash began to reign at the age of 7. He began to rebuild the temple of Yahweh. King Hezekiah reinstated the observance of Passover and unleavened bread 7 days, and Passover, the first feast. The people who were excited, they celebrated an additional 7 days. Pure white refracts into 7 colors. Pure white refracts into 7 colors. The prism of the rainbow is 7. According to the ancient Near Eastern, well, I won't go past that. Yeah, 7's a lot. Like you know, I'm not gonna go all the way. We want to finish that, but 7 is the 7 of 10 commandments are. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. But go in there and look at the rest of the 7 and see what it means. Has, every alphabet has a meaning that is way deeper. Just like each alphabet has its own meaning. The aleph means leader, bull, the ox, number 1. That's what A means, or what you guys would call A is the aleph, the leader. And bet is B, which means the house. Leader brings the house. Anyway, they got a whole bunch of meanings. Everything is deeper than just the facade. My brother's gonna read the rest of our Leviticus, and we're gonna let you guys enjoy y'all Shabbat tonight. My son is in the building. Shabbat shalom.
Leviticus 4, verse 22. In case it is a chieftain who incurs guilt by doing unwittingly any of the things which by the commandment of the Most High, his Yah, ought not be done, and he realize his guilt, for the sin of which he is guilty is brought to his knowledge, he shall bring as his offering a male goat without blemish.
Without blemish, your best.
He shall lay his hand upon the goat's head, and it shall be slaughtered at the spot where the burnt offering is slaughtered before the Most High. It is a sin offering. The priest shall take with his finger some of the blood of the sin offering and put it on the horns of the altar of burnt offering. And the rest of its blood he shall pour out at the base of the altar of burnt offering. All of its fat he shall turn into smoke on the altar, like the fat of the sacrifice of well-being. Thus the priest shall make expiation on his behalf for his sin, and he shall be forgiven. If any person from among the populace unwittingly incurs guilt by doing any of the things which by the Most High's commandments ought not be done, and he realizes his guilt, or the sin of which he is guilty is brought to his knowledge, he shall bring a female goat without blemish as his offering for the sin of which he is guilty.
He said, in the beginning of 22, it says, in case it is a chieftain. Interesting words, right? Chieftain. Who had chiefs? Who had chiefs?
Our tribe.
A chieftain is just saying the chief. So the chief, something happened to him. This happened. It's just funny how these words just come to you. I mean, just come out differently when you have understanding. Go on, my brother, finish out.
Verse 29. He shall lay his hand upon the head of the sin offering, and the sin offering shall be slaughtered at the place of the burnt offering. The priest shall take with his finger some of its blood and put it on the horns of the altar of burnt offering, and all the rest of its blood he shall pour out at the base of the altar. He shall remove all its fat, just as the fat is removed from the sacrifice of well-being. And the priest shall turn it into smoke on the altar for a pleasing odor to the Most High. Thus the priest shall make expiation for him, and he shall be forgiven. If the offering he brings as a sin offering is a sheep, he shall bring a female without blemish. He shall lay his hand upon the head of the sin offering, and it shall be slaughtered as a sin offering at the spot where the burnt offering is slaughtered. The priest shall take with his fingers some of the blood of the sin offering and put it on the horns of the altar of burnt offering, and all the rest of its blood he shall pour out at the base of the altar.
And remember, we just read the number 7, even they don't say it here, but it has 7 horns. The Most High has 7 horns on this altar. So they were dipping the blood 7 times. Go on, my brother.
And all its fat he shall remove, just as the fat of the sheep of the sacrifice of well-being is removed. And this the priest shall turn into smoke on the altar over the Most High's offering by fire. Thus the priest shall make expiation on his behalf for the sin of which he is guilty, and he shall be forgiven.
Yes. Chapter 4 now. I'm going to finish up this 7 in the meaning because it really is important. Because it ties back into this. So the 7 horns, and they dipped in blood. The number 7 also is the culture and understanding. It is according to ancient Near Eastern culture and understanding of the cosmos. This includes ancient Israel. There was 7. 7 was the normal operation and order of the Most High's house and temple, as we just read, right? Thus, all the 7s in the Bible have to do with temple building, inauguration, or dedication. Obviously, the negative side of this wickedness that destroys this imagery. For example, the 7 days of creation are the 7 days of temple dedication, with Shabbat being the inauguration or rest. In this case, the Shabbat signifies the Creator's rule of heaven and earth, and his temple presence being the ultimate means of stability and order in the world. In other words, the completeness pictured in the number 7 is qualified in ancient Near Eastern thought by temple building, dedication, inauguration. With the temple, there is chaos and a lack of order in the world. Knowing this should broaden our perspective on the spiritual implications of the number 7. So we're seeing right here that Shabbat is on the 7th day, that it's the 4th commandment, that they are tied, that the number 7 has to do with his temple, has to do with the rituals of cleansing thyself. Everything in the scripture is that the Most High has done for us is for a reason. We should be just as intentional in our actions. With that, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed tonight. Again, go to that graceintorah.net and learn about the Hebraic meaning of the numbers. Learn about the alphabet. Seek his face. Know that tonight is a night for relaxation, for meditation on the Most High, for being thankful, for being humble, for the refuge. Because many don't have it. Y'all looking at the news. Y'all know who's in control for other people. We have a king. We don't have a president. So take that. Oh, that's hard. My brother, would you like to say anything on this Shabbat?
Shabbat shalom, y'all. I think we said everything.
Yeah.
Love you.
Well, I love y'all, man. Yes, lead with love.